When was the last time you had to make a big purchase? Now imagine that you just realized you needed a new car. What would you do next? If you're like most people, you would probably head on over to Google or whatever your preferred search engine is. Now think about what you would type on that little search bar. And what results would you get back? For most of us, we would probably get some ads right on top, and then we would see a bunch of search results with star ratings. And we're probably going to see a lot of articles saying, these are the 10 best cars of the year. And by the way, if you actually read them, none of them agree on what the actual 10 best are because everyone defines the best as something different. Now, all these things that you see are intentionally driven marketing pieces created by people who want to lead you to their funnel. Now, as you go through this exercise, you'll probably click on a few articles, read them, check out some head-to-head comparisons. And after a while, you're going to realize that you feel like you've collected enough information. You feel more knowledgeable than when you started, and you actually feel ready to buy. But why? And what's actually going on here? And most importantly, what does this have to do with property management? Well, everything. Hey everyone, it's Marie Liamzon Tepman here, and I'd like to welcome you to the Property Management Show. This podcast is brought to you by Fourandhalf Marketing Agency. We have been helping property managers with owner marketing since 2012, from strategy all the way to implementation. Visit fourandhalf.com to learn more. That's FOURANDHALF.com. Now, a quick word from this episode's sponsor.
Now is the time to add pest coverage to your resident benefit package. CoverPest seamlessly integrates with your existing benefit package to give your tenants a world-class pest control service at a fraction of the normal price. Visit coverpest.com today and mention this podcast to get your startup fee waived.
Now, remember that story we had at the beginning of this episode? What happens to us as we move through the buyer's journey on the internet? We spend hours, sometimes days, doing more searches, consuming more content, comparing data, just to make us feel better about the big decision we're about to make. Well, all the pieces of content that we consume during this journey shape our expectations and nudge us closer and closer into making a decision. Like it or not, we are all like this. Especially when we are making big decisions, like, hiring a property manager. So if your customer's buying decision and expectations are influenced by the pieces of content that they consume during the exploration phase, then it's in your best interest as a business to have your educational content out there for prospects to consume before they even give you a call, right? Right. Yet, we encounter a lot of property management business owners who either don't believe in content marketing or just don't think it's worth the hassle or worth the investment. The content you create is here to fill in information gaps. When prospects are trying to make a buying decision or they're trying to look for the best solution, content creates a relationship between the prospect and the business, and it helps the prospect make a decision. Now, you can't expect leads to pour in the moment you publish a piece of content online. The effects are a bit more delayed and can sometimes even take a year. But research has shown that there's a positive correlation between content and customer lifetime. Fourandhalf actually did an industry study on property management marketing last year, and we found some interesting things about customer lifetime. But before I nerd out on the data pieces, I want to do a quick poll. How many of you listening right now know how long your owners stay with your company? Now, if you had a number in mind, how confident are you of that number? Now, if you couldn't come up with a number or you hesitated a little bit, you are not alone. So it turns out our study found that in the Midwest, 10% of property managers who answered our survey had no idea how long their owner stayed with them. In comparison, 5% of property managers surveyed in the South did not have any sense of their customer lifetime. Now, those surveyed from the Northeast and West had even fewer people who did not track this metric, which was interesting to us. But anyway, for those who did track, or at least tried to guess what their customer lifespans were, here's the scoop. So on average, property managers from the US West and Midwest keep their owner clients 1 to 6 years longer than their peers in the Northeast. When we segmented the responses based on a region, we found that in the West and Midwest, the most common customer lifetime length was 4 to 7 years, whereas in the Northeast, the most common length was 1 to 3 years. In the South, lengths were pretty evenly distributed. Knowing how long owners stay with their company is key to understanding your customer lifetime value. Now, there's a lot of talk right now in the industry about client retention and providing the best client experience. Now, this is all well and good in concept, but when we actually try to implement it and you have limited resources, how would a property management business owner prioritize efforts related to retention and customer experience over others? And this is where customer lifetime value comes in. If you only look at the annual contract value when making decisions, you're basically saying that clients who stay with you for 1 year are just as valuable to your business as those who stay for 10 years. Now, owners who stay for a year versus 10 years are fundamentally different. Understanding your customer lifetime value and what factors affect it allow you as a business owner to make better decisions. Now, you might be wondering, what business decisions should be influenced by taking customer lifetime value or CLV into consideration? If you guessed marketing, you are spot on. Now, this is not the only thing affected or influenced by this, but that is the angle that we will be exploring today. Some key marketing questions that should be centered around customer lifetime value are: how much should I spend on owner marketing? What marketing channel should my company use? What is a good ROI for my marketing dollars? And how much should I spend on retention campaigns, and who should I target? Making marketing decisions with CLV in mind prevents you from accidentally ignoring aspects of your marketing that have significant effects on your bottom line. If you go back to the car buying story, it's pretty clear that people move through the marketing funnel not in a linear way. During the exploratory phase, the minds of owner leads are still open to suggestions because they have not formed a solid opinion yet, or a strong opinion yet, right, of which direction they should go. But once they have formed a strong opinion, that opinion can stay with them even after they become your client. You see, closing the sale is the start of their relationship, and I think it's really important for us to remember that. Our research found that the property management companies using YouTube for marketing are 12% more likely to retain their clients for 8 years or more. Now, at first it sounded a bit random to us, but think about it. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and it's only second to Google search, which is basically owned by the same company. When people search on YouTube, they typically expect to consume content in the form of videos and to also educate themselves. But what does this have to do with customer lifetime value? Well, it goes back to the pieces of content that you consume as a prospect, right, during the exploration process. The more informed an owner is before making a decision, the more likely they are to have realistic expectations of what property management is, what's reasonable, what's unreasonable, and they're more likely to see the true value of hiring a professional property manager, and they are more likely to stay because of that. Now, there is also brand recognition and trust building happening here. The more you show up when prospects search for answers, the more familiar they become of your brand. And the more familiar a prospect is of your brand, the more likely they are to trust you. And this all happens even before they reach out to you, right? And so by the time they reach out to you, guess what? You need a lot less convincing and a lot less educating. You'll have a lot less friction than someone who is encountering your brand for the first time. Now, I briefly mentioned trust, in the context of business. And in this day and age, trust is synonymous with nothing else other than stars, right? I mean, who doesn't love stars? And do you remember in preschool when our teachers used to give out these gold stars and, that was the thing to have? And who would have thunk that as grown adults, we would all still be vying for golden stars, right? It's funny how it all comes full circle. But anyway, going back to property management. So our research found that property management companies prioritizing online reviews are 16% more likely to beat the industry average customer lifetime. Now you might be thinking, is it just that the higher star ratings attract higher quality owners and that explains the correlation between online reviews and customer lifetime? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy? Well, it's not quite that. So taking control of reputation doesn't mean just filtering out negative reviews and only showing positive ones on your website. No, it's actually more than that. It's a whole system that you should be implementing with a lot of thought and intention, from identifying key customer touch points to follow-ups to analysis of the feedback and reviews you get. And let's not forget the most important piece, which is actually making tweaks to your organization to help improve it based on the feedback you get. The key here is that when property managers who prioritize online reviews ask for feedback routinely from their clients, they actually listen. And when the feedback is less than ideal, they do something about it. The goal here is to foster trust and to live up to that trust. In comparison, automation, which is a fan favorite business priority, boosts customer lifetime by just 5%. Remember that online reputation boosts customer lifetime by 16%? Now, this finding is actually pretty surprising to us, but we found ourselves scratching our heads asking, why? Well, it's because automation should not be done for the sake of automation. Without a clear strategy and clear understanding of your current processes and systems, just doing automation in a vacuum is just an expensive way to make mistakes faster. Now, this next one might surprise you. It's about marketing spend. It turns out that dollars spent on marketing by itself doesn't correlate with higher customer lifetime. Now, this one surprised us too, because we could have sworn that the more money a client spent on marketing would equate with, more activities that spurred client retention and more activities that attracted better quality leads, right? But it turns out that it's not the case. And so what does this mean for property managers? Well, this finding suggests that where and how you spend your marketing budget, they're more important than how much you spend on owner marketing. And as for lifetime value, well, that should serve as your North Star to guide you in the right direction. Spending money on acquiring new customers is a good thing, don't get me wrong, as long as you're not ignoring your existing customers. Because believe me, it is a lot more expensive to acquire brand new customers than to keep existing ones. So don't be blinded by sheer lead volume when you're thinking about marketing. Remember that not all leads are created equal, and if you intend for your business to thrive and survive in the long term, then you should be prepared and do everything you can to hold on to your clients for the long term. And that's all I have for this episode of the Property Management Show, brought to you by Fourandhalf.com. We have been helping property managers with owner marketing since 2012, from strategy all the way to implementation. Visit Fourandhalf.com to learn more. That's Fourandhalf.com. I hope you found the information I shared today helpful. Our next episodes will cover real-world examples of how focusing on customer lifetime value, owner retention, and even employee retention can impact your business. As always, feel free to send us your feedback or comments or suggestions by emailing marketing@fourandhalf.com. And if you're enjoying our show, please consider leaving us a rating or review on the listening app of your choice. Thank you and see you next time.